This is just a children's book, but it has already become a major hit and source of controversy in Ukraine. Maya and Her Mothers depicts different types of families and promote inclusiveness and acceptance. But a number of far-right and religious conservative organizations have threatened the author to interrupt the book launch presentation in Lviv. Larysa Denysenko, the human rights activist and the writer fearing for the safety of the children attending the book launch, cancelled part of the event. The other part, an adult discussion on the subject, are schools prepared to discuss complicated topics with children, went ahead and with extra security. Meanwhile, the book had become popular and widely shared online. We have here Nadia Parfan, who is the Ukrainian film director and culturologist, to discuss the issue. Good evening.
Good evening, everybody.
But before we would watch our report.
My name is Maya, and I have two moms. People often wonder how it happened, but it's no miracle. I don't have a father, he's a secret donor. But my moms aren't secret, they are very real. They love each other, and they love me.
These are lines from the book Maya and Her Mothers, which caused an uproar in the Ukrainian city of Lviv and subsequently in the whole of Ukraine. A book launch for children was meant to take place at Lviv Library on September 15th. But the book's author, Ukrainian writer and human rights activist Larysa Denysenko, had to cancel part of the launch due to the numerous threats she received.
The author of the book, Larysa Denysenko, received such threats in absolutely different forms, including private messages. Around 2 weeks before the launch, we started receiving worrying letters. The Publishers Forum started saying that different publishing houses have been receiving threats from far-right organizations, who have been saying that they don't want the book launch to go ahead, and that they will do everything to ensure that it doesn't if the city administration doesn't take measures itself.
A letter, signed by 15 different but mostly little-known public organizations, was sent to the head of the Ukrainian Security Service in the Lviv region, the mayor of Lviv, and the head of the Lviv Regional State Administration. The letter claims that the book is dedicated to same-sex intercourse and is a direct attempt to force upon school children destructive principles that are contrary to values and traditions formed in Ukrainian families. Denysenko says she was in favor of this cancellation herself. The book discussion for adults, planned for the same day, still went ahead with additional security.
It was the kids' event that got cancelled, the book launch for the children at the Lviv library. I myself was in favor of this cancellation only with safety in my mind. I was not given enough information as to how the police would be getting involved. The event was for primary school kids, but honestly I cannot prevent the bad behavior for a few abnormal people.
In fact, the book tells 17 different stories of 17 different families. Some families are Crimean Tatar and were forced to move to Kiev due to the annexation of Crimea. Some are of Roma origin. In some, the father is missing in action since Russia invaded Ukraine.
This book just shows that there is no such term as perfect, and there is no such thing as a traditional perfect family. Every family has its own story, and it's normal, and there is no crime in that. The main thing that a family needs to have, especially for the sake of the kids, is love and respect. And this is, in essence, what the book is about.
There are only a few sentences on the last 2 pages that feature a same-sex couple, written from the perspective of Maya herself, but the far-right organizations see this situation differently.
As a nationalist, a Christian, a Lviv resident and a father bringing up my own children, I think it's just unacceptable.
Have you read the book yourself?
Parts of it.
Like what exactly?
About test tubes, artificial insemination and so on. I think that's too much for kids age 6 and older.
Both the publishing house and the book's author say that the far-right activists who wrote the letter have not actually read the book.
They were offended by the book's title, because 100% they haven't read it.
Despite some strong negative reactions, the book proved to be quite popular in Ukraine. The first 2 print runs have completely sold out, so a 3rd printing is currently underway and is due to come out in the end of October. After the scandal emerged, the publishing house and Denysenko also decided to upload a free PDF of the book online, so that more people can read it and understand what it's really about.
We know that within 24 hours there were a couple of thousand downloads of the book. I think that overall the story spread to perhaps around 100-200,000 people. We're happy that so many people found out about this book, because the reviews we received after they read the book were really touching and inspiring. This book will have a sequel, and not just one. We planned that even before this whole situation emerged. We know that we're doing a good thing, so I think everything will be alright.
Nadia, you are in the Ukrainian cultural sphere for some times, organizing different kind of events. And is it something new? You know, how do you see this whole story with the threats? What is your take on that?
First of all, as a person from the cultural field, I must say that I really enjoyed the book. I think this is one of the best recent Ukrainian books. I was happy to read it myself. I really liked the way it was made, the illustrations, and I will definitely buy it to all my nieces and nephews. So I just think it's a big success for Ukrainian cultural production in terms of mere quality. Then also, I found it a very progressive book, and it was a bit strange to me that the discussion turned into the question of LGBT, because it is also a book about internally displaced people, for instance. And this is a burning issue today in Ukraine. And this book shows a very nice depiction of diversity and just a normal society where people are different and where people are from, you know, Donetsk, Ivano-Frankivsk, Lviv, Kyiv, and Odessa. And I really like that because I feel that Ukraine is diverse and it forms a realistic image of our society. And then I was really happy to see the amount of consolidation and sort of the solidarity that the Ukrainian, I don't know, could it be cultural sphere or some type of society, subculture I belong to? But this was the first time that I remember that there was a really united, solidaric position of the community. Everybody was happy to support the authors and the publishing house, and I was actually quite surprised to hear the news about the very negative reaction, including security service.
I would like also to bring the quotes of some kind of the Ukrainian officials, for instance, Vice Prime Minister, another MP, the head of the think tank dealing with NATO and the other issues. That's what they've written on their social media platforms.
I'm shocked by the threats the publishers' forum in Lviv received. This can be neither understood nor accepted. Nobody gave the permission to these uneducated and aggressive groups of provocateurs to make our traditions their own and to defend them in such shameful way. It looks like we were brought up in a different country than these self-proclaimed fighters for truth, because Ukrainian families are definitely not about threats and blackmail. Our values are first and foremost about respect. That's the way I was brought up by my parents, and that's how my husband and I raise our daughters. I would like to congratulate Larysa Denysenko on the fact that people all over the country are inquiring about her book Maya and her mom's at bookshops. Dear Larysa, your book is truly in short supply. By some kind of a miracle, I managed to order 10 copies for my relatives and friends. I will give them to everyone. I'm calling for everyone reading this post to do the same. This will be our response to people who decided to lecture the whole nation on whom they should love. Our solidarity and love is hundreds of times stronger than your hatred.
I think we need to give credit to the provocateurs of this scandal, because now Maya and her mother's is selling like hotcakes. I am pleased that dozens of times more people will now read it. I've bought 2 copies and will give my colleague one of them as a gift. I am actually wondering whether the patriot boys who threatened the author and the publisher realize that they mirror the actions of the Russian establishment that they're supposedly fighting against. And a special kudos to Larysa Denysenko, whom I've admired for a long time.
Every household needs to have a Maya book because it is really a wonderful piece of writing. I didn't know anything about it until today. These idiots cannot even comprehend the popularizing effect that their savage actions have had. With the permission of the author and the publisher, you can read it online, but it's better to support the author and buy a hard copy.
So, as I said, there were the quotes of the Vice Prime Minister, of NMP, and of the, I don't know, the analyst on the security, which shows some kind of the different people. And how do you see? Was it enough? And you know, the Ukrainian civil society were pretty cautious to get into the controversial issues during the time of the war, during the time of Russian propaganda, which put the issue of the far right and neo-Nazi, very high. So there is no honest, we can say that there is no really that discussion. So do you think this is some kind of a new move, or?
I think it's an impulse, but I definitely don't think it's enough. But I think it's a very symptomatic case of the fight over the younger generation, because we can't change what elderly people think, and they have their reasons to do so, but the question is, what do the youngsters think? And I think it's very important to implement this worldview, this set of values represented by this book, into our education and into the way we talk to kids and teenagers. So if I were the Minister of Education, I would just buy a copy for each school student in Ukraine and have it in libraries and everywhere in public institutions.
And still there is this question of the threat. So how safe do you feel? And also, do you think what are the ways also to discuss the issues, in particular during the time of the war? Because, LGBT pride, there would be always the voices, not marginal voices, but some kind of a credible voices who would say, that's not the time, or these are the kids. How do you think you start this discussion in the Ukrainian society beyond this group of people we belong to, the Kiev residents, with the...
That's a very good question. Work to be done, but I also want to emphasize that to me this is not only a book about LGBT, and I think the way to resolve this issue lies through dialogue with different marginalized groups, like internally displaced people, single mothers that are also depicted as a role model. So just understanding the diversity and not focusing, maybe talking about the fact that it's not so much about LGBT, but just about accepting difference and different ways we can be. And probably also one thing should be said about the role of police and governmental institutions, that it's their duty to protect this European choice of Ukraine, and we should feel safe, and we should feel safe being different. So they should just do their job, and I know it's hard, but I wish them good luck and let them keep safety.
Nadia, thanks a lot for your participation. That was Nadia Parfan, the Ukrainian film director and cultural scientist.